I'm very grateful, firstly, to Arnek for this wonderful platform and all the esteemed guests here. To hear the moms, the mothers, who I think we share that, many of us share that common, designation that we all have as parents, as mothers, and probably that concern and that emotion is the reason that we work as moms. And so we are, of course, here. Usually I don't plan my speeches, so this is just starts from whatever comes from my heart, and saying that this has been so far the closest to my heart, on children, on early childhood development, something that we actually learned from Arnek, and on a very casual basis when Peggy was here, and I must mention her because she was the one who actually connected us to Arnek, and I miss her, and we really hope that she's back and recovered and all. So we are mothers who work on clean air in India, and we are, of course, trying that we can bring in clean air through, pushing policy, through advocacy. Now, advocacy is something that has been there for years, for decades, for people like some of us who've been working on clean air, and lots has been said. The data was there. There was, everything has been on Google. Everything is there. But now the point was to bring in action, because even if I have my daughters who are now 20 and I've been working on clean air, they still have damaged lungs. So there is no time to waste. And how we were connecting now the early childhood to the various aspects of air pollution was, of course, that 0 to 5 is also the most vulnerable. In fact, I'm quite surprised that everybody's talking about climate change and climate action and heat waves, etc., but nobody mentions air pollution, because that is the first. The air pollution starts affecting the fetus, starts affecting the placenta even before the child is born. Air pollution starts affecting the fetuses. So that is something that needs to be actually brought in. This slide clearly speaks of how badly we are affected, and even in a city like Delhi, where I'm coming from, every third child has damaged lungs. So again, connecting various aspects, the data, which is already there, and I'm emphasizing that's all there. So less efforts on advocacy. We thought that we must now act. So the action begins with, of course, coming on the ground, because we are mothers from all various stratas, and I tried to put more pictures here to show that how, the bottom picture is the one where we've reached out to the brick kiln workers. So the moms there, there are two mothers who are actually taking on this whole thing, the brick kiln workers, how they are actually affected, and how we try to bring in, again, even empower them with various ways of showing that it was not only where they were working, they were affected with air pollution, but it was also from where they were living. So where they were living, the winds were actually blowing and taking the pollution much further to what anyone would have thought that you actually. So that means the children, the families, they were all very, very, very much more affected from where they were. So, of course, our vision and our mission is clear, that we work towards clean air, climate action. We are concerned about children of all strata, because it's not that air pollution is not it doesn't affect everybody similarly. It's an equity issue. We clearly know that. And so we try to also focus on every kind of parent who's actually wants to work on it. There's also a big challenge in air pollution when we work because the elite think that they can buy everything, so they can buy clean air, but that doesn't happen, unfortunately. And the underprivileged is, of course, too busy struggling for the other things that could be even giving 2 square meals to the children. So for them to even understand that how this is affecting and how the health issues come in and will take much more of their finances and etc. So these are, of course, the various kind of activities, how the parents come in. It starts from your local community, so it really is your own neighborhood. These are kind of, as moms, we've all seen that these are the lonely battles that mostly, many of us fight, and then they get lost somewhere because there is no support, or you're seen as the bad person because you're saving that tree, or you are probably, being loud to save get the waste management going or something like that. So, but when these individual mothers start connecting, it becomes like a huge movement. It becomes like a support group, and that is how then from there the advocacy starts moving into the immediate corporations, which could be your immediate councillors and your officers, and that's how the changes start happening on the ground, because all the wonderful data and everything is there, but then how to convert it and how to translate it into actually making it happen, because a lot of things that are shown are really not happening. So because the moms are there 24/7 and we are there and we are doing, so whatever little time that everybody can contribute, we encourage that to happen. So so this is, of course, one part, which is the citizens that I mentioned. The second most important is that with the various important stakeholders, how we connect with them and we work with them on various issues like, say, the doctors for clean air. We have, the parliamentarians or the lawyers. We are recently working with the judiciary, because after all, they are the ones who will be helping us taking decisions. And when they say the wrong things, we go many, many steps backward. For the recent example was a smog tower in the middle of a city. That's not going to work, but it came out of the judiciary. Or the cracker ban, which everybody knows about the crackers. In the picture down, the middle picture there, there's also those little cupcakes that the mothers took to the police stations to kind of encourage the police to take action against crackers, and it says implement cracker ban. So the lawyers need to know that yes, we have these tree laws, and how we can, how it connects to the on-ground, the realities that need to be actually brought in, if you need to push the policy. So these are the kind of things that really are close to mostly our heart, because it's not so much about citizens. Citizens will need to know, of course, but that's, like I said, a lot has been said and written. But it's the stakeholders who will need to know more and need to act, because as we speak here, the children continue to breathe the toxicity, and something that's really not acceptable to any parent, I think. And so this is what, we have a Know Your Rights, something to empower the mothers and the citizens. We have laws. Everyone has laws. We also have good laws, but they're not being enforced. So anything like you see, you see waste being burned, or you're saying a tree being felled, or vehicular emissions, anything that's air pollution related, but you don't know what to do. So you kind of look at each other, and you tend not to take any action or make a Facebook post. That really doesn't help. So these are simple SOPs that empower the mothers to take action. That means to make complaints, and these complaints make the authorities accountable. So outside a school, I mean, there's so many complaints that have increased when the mothers are going to drop the children to schools, and there is innumerable vehicles that are actually affecting the children, especially when they're 0 to 5. You're holding them, they're on the, their heights are less, and they're actually the most vulnerable to the vehicular fumes. These are just one example. So that's how, you tend to make authorities accountable. Then these are various ways of how we are doing research and taking, probably now we encourage that every mom should have an AQI monitor is like a weapon. So wherever we go, we always have that, and we kind of research, show, elaborate, because some things that are being said are not true, and that helps to kind of validate our statements and data. Then also empowering mothers on how to use the monitors, how to analyze the data, to bring it. Even various campaigns like going, outside the thermal power plants, or asking them to implement the thermal power, variations, etc. There are many such, technical efforts that we've been taken. And one of them which we are very, very proud and very happy that we took up was with RNEC, was this clean cooking study. So as many of you would know, that we have a lot of biomass burning, because the clean cooking is not affordable, and people tend to burn wood and coal, which of course is a great hazard, because they have a 4x4 room, which is the only place where they cook and they sleep, and the children there are absolutely the biggest victims of this air pollution. So this study was extremely useful. Now we went with a structured study to go and actually show the monitoring that showed difference between the clean cooking and the biomass. But then it was not easy as moms to come back from there and say that, okay, till the time policy changes, it's we're just going to sit back and see. It was just not that we didn't know. We knew that this is happening, but when you see it, it was very, very heartbreaking to see those little children and babies actually being exposed to in this, few areas where we did the study. So we took inspiration, from all the work that's being done at early childhood, development and here at RNEC, and went back and started connecting these children to the neighborhood, which were the elite neighborhoods, who had more spaces. They had, parks, and like this particular area had an elite neighborhood which had 32 parks. So we started forming these libraries, and and also in the upcycled refrigerators, we use that as books and stationery, and putting them so that the children could come out and read and color and do other activities when the mothers were cooking. So at least they were started going, and then I think from there the steps even went further, because some of the mums took it up, and they have also involved in sports activities, etc. So this little change was really something very, very close to our hearts, and something that really showed. Besides, of course, Vital Strategies also, asked us, and we, sent one case study, and then after that we had around 78 case studies, where after the study, and when we tried to tell the families that if you will not invest those 1,100 rupees on an LPG cylinder, you're going to pay 20,000 more in the year on your health issues. And how those prescriptions came down, and how the health issues reduced in the family has been very, very heartening to see. The children who were coughing and who were developing asthma have got down, because they have now started investing into LPG. So there's two aspects. One is policy, pushing the government to actually reduce the costs of LPG, and of course convincing the people that to prioritize clean cooking, and they learned about it. And so this is how they may sound very small and very basic, but that's on the ground. Whatever is happening is the action, because it's very different when you actually introduce them as campaigns, but when you actually do it on the ground, it just shows a whole new picture. This is, of course, all the pictures. I'm sorry, I didn't move the slide. So all the pictures of how these families benefited and how the children were. So sorry about that. And and again, something which is again a whole group of the global moms that have connected, and there are big supporters, as well as we work, we learn from each other. We're this Our Kids Climate, Parents for Future Global. So the work that you do here also replicates, and on a casual basis also when you're talking to other countries, and when they look at you maybe on social media or through organizations like this or on events like this, that these studies are replicated, they're brought into other countries, and the mothers are joining hands. Some of these pictures here, with the COP president and COP26, Mr. Alok Sharma. I mean, he suddenly sees us, and most of the things, oh, the moms are here. So everyone knows that moms are here for serious work, and their mothers are taking up some great responsibilities, and the children are always on priority. It's about, we have these huge kind of, these hashtags of kids first, and because we love our children, and that stays with us. And of course, because this work is so, it's on ground, and it's so real and so organic, and so much with that passion and that love that for the children, and their all the efforts to make correct that I think the media is always following it, and we've always appreciate that, because we are so small and our messages will be just 2 tweets here and there, but yeah, they help us take this message across.